Hello. In this video, we will classify bikes from 12 main manufacturers into 5 broad categories, which are the out and out aero category of bikes, where the bikes come with very deep tube shapes and the major focus is on aerodynamics and less on weight saving and comfort, although aero bikes of these days are quite comfortable in their own right. The next category we feature is the aero climbing bike. Starting from around 2017, manufacturers realized that they could make bikes that were almost as light as out and out climbing bikes, but at the same time feature tube shapes that are quite aerodynamic. This segment started really with the Tarmac SL6. Next, we will feature the out and out climbing bike category. This segment features bikes that mostly focus on climbing stiffness and weight saving without really much care for aerodynamics. Although bikes of this breed are dwindling by the day, with manufacturers choosing to graduate these bikes to aero climbing category, there are still a few bikes left in this category and we would mention them. Now all of these three categories feature race bikes, and now we will go on to categories featuring more laid back bikes. The racy endurance segment is a segment for those beginners who are either unsure about whether to choose a race or an endurance bike, or those who used to ride a race bike but now have their flexibility hampered a bit by age and want something a bit more upright. These bikes still have quite a lot of the handling characteristics of race bikes and are not really that much slower to steer. Next, we have the out and out endurance bike category. In this segment, we are looking at bikes which are quite laid back and their main focus is for you to ride big miles or light gravel on them while being in an upright position. One of the main considerations in our classification of the bikes has been to check the geometry of the bikes, especially the stack and the reach and the ratio in a size with effective top tube length from 540 to 550, which stands at medium for most manufacturers. In the end, we will also give a take on which bike we recommend from each category. So you will not only know which segment to look at, but also know which bike to buy given you have narrowed down the segment. So in this video, we are featuring bikes from BMC, Cannondale, Canyon, Cervelo, Colnago, Giant, Merida, Pinarello, Ridley, Scott, Specialized, and finally Trek. Now BMC's out and out aero bike is the Time Machine Road. Their aero climbing bike is the venerable Team Machine with the road machine filling in for the racy endurance segment. Cannondale System 6 is the out and out aero bike with the Super 6 filling in for the aero climbing bike category. The Cat 13, which features similar tube shapes to the Super 6, would also be classified as a climbing race bike, albeit it's made from aluminium. The Cat Optimo is the entry level race bike. The Synapse in carbon and aluminium guises fills in for the endurance segment. Moving on to Canyon, we have the A-Road, which is their out and out aero bike. The Ultimate is their out and out climbing bike, and we have to say it's one of the last bikes in this category from one of the major manufacturers and is due an update. The Endurance AL and CF are their out and out endurance bikes. Next, we have Canadian bike manufacturer Cervelo. They were one of the first to make aero bikes, and the S series of bikes, that is the S5 and S3, are their out and out aero bikes, with the R series of bikes, aka the R5 and R3, filling in for the aero climbing range of bikes. The Cervelo Caledonia, like the road machine, is something we would classify as a racy endurance bike. Italian manufacturer Colnago featured the V3 RS, which is a monocoque frame, as well as the C64, which is a lugged carbon frame. Both of these fall into the aero climbing bike category. On to Giant, the Propel, which is due an update, is their aero bike. The venerable TCR is their aero climbing bike. The supremely comfortable Defy fills in at the endurance bike segment. The aluminum contents and content SLs fit into the racy endurance bike category and bode well with beginners who are unsure about which geometry of bikes is right for them. The content ARs fit into the strictly endurance bike category. Merida have a newly launched reactor to fill in for the aero bike category and the Sculptura for the aero climbing bike category. The Sculptura Endurance serves the purpose of an all-out endurance bike in Merida's lineup. Going back to Italy, Pinarello's newly launched Dogma F is their aero climbing bike, and they were one of the first entrants into this segment, using one bike for all courses. The Jan is significantly cheaper and derives from the F8, which also fits into the same segment, while the Paris would feature in the racy endurance segment of bikes. The Noah is Ridley's out and out aero bike, while the Helium, which while a very good bike, doesn't feature much in terms of aerodynamics and is an out and out climbing bike. The Phoenix is Ridley's endurance bike. Moving on to Scott, the Foil is Scott's out and out aero bike, while the Addict RC is the aero climbing bike. The Addict and Speedster, which is made of aluminum, are their endurance bikes. Specialized now has the Tarmac SL7 and the Athos, both serving the purpose of aero climbing bike categories, while the Roubaix, which is quite upright but aerodynamic, is their endurance bike. The Specialized Alley is their entry-level aluminum endurance bike, while the Alley Sprint would best fall into the aero climbing bike category, but it is mainly a criterium bike. Finally, coming to Trek, the Modon is their out and out aero bike, while the Emonda is their aero climbing bike. The Domane, both in carbon and aluminum versions, fill in for the endurance segment of bikes. The premium aluminum Emonda ALR would be best called an aluminum climbing bike. So we have categorized bikes from some of the major manufacturers, and now we will take a call on which bike to buy, given you have fixed for yourself which segment of bike you are looking at. We will only mention carbon bikes here. For the aluminum bikes, you can go to my $1,000 road bike video and the premium aluminum segment videos, and they would surely help. Let's start off with the out and out aero bikes then. We had the Time Machine Road, System 6, Aero S5, Propel, Reacto, Noah, Foil, and Modon. In this segment, we would suggest to go with the Cervelo S5 or S3. Honorable mentions go to the Merida Reacto and Scott Foil if you don't want a Cervelo. The System 6, while still really aerodynamic by today's standards, is quite harsh riding, and the Modon is too bulky. Onto the aero climbing bike category, we had the BMC Team Machine, Cannondale Super 6, Cervelo R5, Colnago, V3 RS, C64, Giant TCR, Merida Sculptura, Pinarello Dogma F, Scott Addict RC, Specialized Tarmac SL7, Specialized Athos, and Trek Emonda. The TCR for most intents and purposes would be by far our pick here, and is still available in both disc and rim brake options. We would also suggest to go with the advanced pro versions of the TCR rather than the advanced SL, as it's all the bike you will ever need and is plenty light enough without having an integrated seat post, which really hampers the SL versions in the long run. Honorable mentions go to the Pinarello Dogma F, Specialized Athos, and Addict RC. While all these bikes are good, the TCR in most cases comes with better specs than the competition while not costing more, and hence is hard to look beyond. Moving on to the out and out climbing bike category, we have the Canyon Ultimate and Ridley Helium. While both of these are respectable bikes in their own right, we suggest you to go for the TCR again if you are looking at these two, as it's just as light but much more aerodynamic. In the racy endurance segment, we feature the BMC Road Machine, Cervelo Caledonia, and Pinarello Paris. You may shortlist among the Road Machine and the Caledonia, but I must mention that the Road Machine is the one which handles the most like a traditional race bike of the two, while the Caledonia is more aerodynamic. So you may choose depending on your priorities. Finally, in the out and out endurance bike category, we included the Cannondale Synapse, Canyon Endurance, Giant Defy, Merida Sculptura Endurance, Ridley Phoenix, Scott Addict, Specialized Roubaix, and Trek Domane. Of these bikes, if you want a very good traditional endurance bike, you may choose the Defy. If you are racing cobbles, then the Roubaix would come good, while if you venture into light gravel quite regularly, the Domane with its ample tire clearance of 38mm and ISO-speed decouplers at both ends would be our choice. I hope this video has been of great use to anyone watching it. If you like this video, please hit the like button and do consider subscribing if you want to stay up to date with more content like this. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.